for Expecting Unexpected by Arctic Vulpix. We're on chapter 73, which is the fifth night for the FNAF freeze. So let's get right into this. And if you want to follow along, which I really do highly recommend you do, the link to the chapter will be in the description below as always. If it doesn't work, then it's fanfiction.net, and author's name will be in the description below, so you can copy and paste. It's Arctic Vulpix, and it's Expected Unexpected. We're on chapter 73. Oh, so yeah, highly do recommend to follow along. That way you can show the author some love, like leave a comment or a review. Sorry, because they deserve it. You don't need an account. It just means the author can't respond to you. So yeah. So let's just get right into this, shall we? With chapter 73, night 5, take 3. Ruby was irritated. Just irritated. The bots had confessed that Springtrap had still gone to bother them, even after she found out about it the previous night. The itch to take Betty to his head had intensified after she saw how upset Hedy was. She may be angry with them over that conversation about electrocution that she overheard, but she didn't like Hedy and she did like Hedy, and Jeremy wasn't too bad, she had to admit. He was just worried over his sister. She could understand that. And if there wasn't a hostage situation with that body snatcher, then she wouldn't have a problem with more permanent solutions. As long as there was a chance of saving Spring, though, she couldn't allow it. She rubbed her temples with a sigh as she waited for the clock to hit 12. God, Steve, give me something interesting to take my mind off this urge to lose my temper, she muttered to the phone. Keeping herself in check this week was difficult. She wanted so badly to just let loose and brush that smug jerk, but she couldn't. The clock hitting 12 pulled her attention back from the situation at hand, and she started checking the cameras as the message played. Hello? This is just to inform all employees that due to budget restrictions, the previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed at most locations, including this one. Ruby glanced up in interest. Work crews will be here most of the day today, constructing a false wall over the old door face. Nothing is being taken out beforehand, so if you left anything inside, then it's your own fault. The secret room has been hidden and wasn't empty? Sounds like a great idea, Ruby muttered. Management also requests that this room not be mentioned to family, friends, or insurance representatives. Hold on, representatives. Of course you do, she rolled her eyes. Thanks again, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I admire your endless optimism, Steve, Ruby chuckled before standing and stretching. Right, back to business. She headed out to find Springtrap and released some of her frustration in the form of glitter bombs. A few hours later, the night was going well, but Ruby couldn't shake the feeling that something was going to happen. Something she wouldn't like. The building itself seemed on edge, and she kept catching sight of that sixth ghost kid. He never stayed still and talked to her. He almost seemed to be leading her somewhere. With a frown, she tried to keep him in sight while watching out for Springtrap. She was circling back towards the office when something made her pause. She turned the corner. What are you doing? He gasped as she almost ran into Ruby. The mechanic looked pale and half like she expected to pass out, clearly not thrilled about being in this part of the building. They stared at each other for a moment, Ruby checking where Springtrap was while wondering how Hedy got this far into Fazbear Fright without tripping any pranks with her wheelchair. In fact, it was surprising Hedy was even willing to come an inch into this part of the building. I need your tablet for a minute and some extra batteries, he answered shortly, with a twinge of annoyance and a sigh. Baby's got mine. She held up her tablet, sporting a black screen. It needed Ruby's main tablet to sync with the building whenever the batteries were changed. Ruby stared at her in bewilderment. So you came into part of the building with the murderer, who tried to kill you as a kid, by the way, so you could find me, who is he is hunting currently for batteries and to sync up your tablets? She stated in disbelief. Couldn't you wait until the end of my shift? He rolled her eyes. Hey, I'm not happy about it, but it causes a bit of anxiety when I can't see what's going on. You 2 hours ago, Teddy's yelling at me because I can't check if you're okay without the tablet. She held out her hand. Let me fix this quickly. I want to get out of here. Her eyes darted behind Ruby at the faint sound of her leaky pipe, but it wasn't murder, just a rusty old pipe. Ruby looked pretty annoyed. Seriously? You couldn't go 2 hours without checking on me? I've got this handled. It's no problem tonight. She shoved the tablet at Hedy in irritation, spawning the 6 ghosts out the corner of her eye, standing where Hedy wouldn't see him. She seemed distressed. You've got some control issues. She dug around in her bag for some batteries. The teen had been short with the older girls, and she overheard her answering Jeremy's voltage question the other night. And you've got some 40 issues. He bit that, tense as she took the things. You can't make people not worry about you, no matter how many times you tell us everything's fine. She flipped her tablet over and popped out the back to get the empty battery case, where her shaky fingers slipped and the battery Ruby handed her hit the ground and rolled away. Ruby growled in irritation as she bent to pick it up. It would be nice to have people trust that I can do this, she muttered as she ground it. Will you hurry up? I've got a few things I've got to do still. She's probably already out the glue trap by now. Hedy wasn't even fazed by the mention of Ruby's glue trap, and nodded as she took the battery and put it in. Just a minute, she muttered, clicking out of the camera feeds on Ruby's tablet to go to the settings. In another part of the building, Jeremy watched the red light above a camera switch off and took that as a sign to move. Springtrap had indeed gone out of the glue trap and was in a foul mood. He went back to stalking through the building for his prey. Ruby was a picture of impatience as she stared at Hedy, foot tapping and arms crossed. Hedy knew she could only fiddle with the settings so long before Ruby got suspicious. Jeremy crept along the hallways, back against the walls, just as he was trained. Hedy and Ruby should be near the entrance on the other side of the building. But where was Springtrap? Something moved in the corner of his eye, and Jeremy set himself up between his makeshift shock prod just as the phantom leaped at him. Jeremy shouted, more confused at why a rusty decomposed Nagel was jumping at him than actual fear. But it was still a shock, and it took everything he had not to react on instinct and swing the electric side of his rod at the thing. Hedy would never forgive him, and as much as he didn't want to admit it, Nagel in particular was growing on him. He rolled out of the way and he was gone? The fuck? He murmured, looking around. They tend to do that, a deep voice said. Jeremy turned and glared at the clump of shadows at the end of the hallway before it turned a corner. Springtrap chuckled, distractedly tearing trash streamers and posters stuck to his spur with a half-dry glue as he hobbled forward. Well, this is a surprise. He sounded genuinely startled to find Jeremy instead of Ruby. How strange. He wondered where that little girl was. Jeremy narrowed his eyes and turned on the taser. Springtrap glanced at it, the blue tackle sending a sharp shadow across the graffitish gray walls. Oh, I was wondering when you'd get off your ass and try something. Not that it's going to accomplish anything, you know. Jerry didn't say anything, but tightened his grip on his weapon. He probably had only one shot to get close enough. Springtrap continued walking forward. I'm perturbed. I'm surprised, Jeremy. I would have thought you, of all people, would have been on a protect the innocent stick. What about poor old Spring? Don't you care what happens to him? Jerry was a traumatized little kid that could get baited into a conversation. He simply stared the rabbit down as he came closer, the blue light casting deep shadows on their faces. Ruby was starting to get suspicious. He could do this kind of thing in minutes, so why was it taking her so long? Granted, she was in the territory of her childhood nightmare. That was her own fault for coming in here. Couldn't wait 2 hours to fix her tablet. Ruby's thoughts were cut off as the temperature all over the building dropped drastically. She could see her breath misting in front of her and shivered violently. What the hell? Hedy, give me my tablet. I need to check on where that body snatcher is. Pretty sure the building is worrying me about something, she demanded. hand stretched out for the tablet. Katie didn't seem to hear her for a moment. She stared at the mist that floated from Ruby's mouth, and somewhere in the back of her mind noticed that her own breath remained invisible. Next to Ruby, she didn't seem to be breathing at all. The air just felt the same temperature as it always was to her. Cold, even with a jacket. But she was long used to it, and Ruby always complained when she turned the heat up. Ruby? He started in a weak attempt to buy Jeremy time. Her thoughts racing as panic hit her. What was she doing? She gripped the tablet tighter and didn't hand it over. Her thoughts, usually clear, were twisting in uncertainty and fear, tearing two sides of herself apart. Panic? What was she doing? This is wrong. Ruby could never forgive her. But Jeremy needed her. What was she supposed to do? She couldn't let that monster hurt anyone else. This is wrong. She couldn't think. Any excuse she gave Ruby couldn't escape her mouth. She didn't know what to do. This never happened to her. She always knew what to do. Ruby was starting to get angry now and reached out to grab the tablet. Damn it, Hedy. There's a killer bot around. I need a tablet to keep an eye on things. What is up with you today? She tugged on the tablet and met her eyes finally noticing her expression. Hedy? Her own expression changed to one of puzzlement. Is you okay? Sure, she was mad at the mechanic, but she was acting weird. She didn't help the concern that flitted across her face. They were both startled by the sound of loud crackling and Jeremy's pained shout. He missed. Jeremy and Springtrap both knew he messed up when Jeremy made the first move. They were standing almost toe to toe, Jeremy holding the broken sparking taser between them, just staring at each other. Then Springtrap faked a step at him and Jeremy reacted, not as cool-headed as he thought he was. The floor seemed to warp beneath his feet as he jabbed forward, and Springtrap took the opportunity to help Jeremy to the floor, moving out of the way and just barely tugging on at the man's shirt to further pull him off balance. He felt the deal rock his joints in protest, but the cheating move was brief and the damage was already done. Jerry fell on the taser and hearing words of a lot of voltage for a short time exposed to it came to mind as the prong stabbed in the shoulder and mutely pain racked through his body. He could hear Springtrap laughing at him. He was propped up on the rod by his shoulder for half a second before his weight slid it out from under him. Jerry swung the numb hand he could only guess still had a grip on the shock rod, and forced through the pain and nausea that hit him as he did. He fought the stupid building with everything he had. Jerry wouldn't have succeeded. The deal wouldn't have let him. But for the briefest of seconds, Springtrap forgot about that as the prod swung a little closer than he expected. The rabbit stepped back to avoid the blue electrical arcs and slipped on some leftover paint from one of Ruby's traps earlier that night. The heavy stolen robotic body hit the ground hard and he swore. Jerry scrambled to his feet shakily, his entire left side feeling like he fell asleep on it and cut off the circulation. His shoulder was cut and had little blisters while his shirt was charred where the taser stabbed him. Words had fluttered around his head before. He considered saying something like, "This is for the kids," or "This is for Hedy," or even, "This is for everyone you hurt." But it was just a guy that didn't want his little sister to suffer anymore or another kid to risk her life. So he stabbed the taser at Springtrap, expecting a shower of sparks and the guilt to set in at the possibility he killed someone else in there. But he would go through with it if he had to. There was even a can of gasoline in the office. But that's not what happened. He jabbed the shock prod, and at the same time Ruby hit it out of his hand so hard it dented the metal rod and sent waves of pain up his good arm. The taser cracked against the liniment, and sparking pieces scattered across the floor before the battery disconnected and the device went silent. Ruby wasn't angry. She was livid, and all that fury was just directed straight at Jeremy. Springtrap actually took a step back from her. He gave up a perfectly good opportunity to attack her, because in that moment, he forgot he was a ghost possessing an animatronic and his human self-preservation instinct screamed at him to get away. Jeremy was distinctly reminded of Sergeant Stone after a rookie made a bad decision that almost got some off-field kills. At the time, that deadly glare hadn't been focused on him, but it still scared him. Now those glacial green eyes were locked at him as Ruby completely ignored the killer behind her. She stalked forward and shoved him against the wall. She may have been much shorter than him, but that didn't diminish how dangerous she suddenly seemed. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she asked quietly. Ruby was never quiet. She was loud and in your face, but never quiet. Jeremy grunted in pain, his head swimming as numbness worked out of his muscles. He could barely stand, much less give her an answer he knew she wouldn't like. He needed a minute. A tiny bit of blood leaked out the corner of his mouth from when getting tased made him bite his tongue. Ruby! His whispery voice echoed from the end of the hallway. She just arrived and following Ruby as fast as she could. She looked at her brother and stifled a gasp at his state. Her eyes darted to Springtrap, but she looked away despite the pit in her stomach. Let him go, please. He's hurt. Ruby didn't react to Hedy and just stared at Jeremy. She wouldn't ask again. I have to at least try. Jeremy eventually whispered, a little slurred but clear enough, heartache dripping out of his voice as his head tilted in exhaustion and defeat. Ruby stared at him, disgust flitting across her features. Have to try? Have to try what? Becoming a murderer? Becoming just as bad as him? She let go abruptly and looked at him coldly. Killing someone innocent just because they're in the way to your goals? Who the hell gave you the right to make that decision? If your sister was the one that had to die, so that some psycho could be permanently stopped, would you be so calm about it? Would you accept have to try? Or don't you think he counts? Or don't you think he counts if he's just a bot? The way I see it, you just tried to kill someone helpless, stop you in your selfish quest for vengeance. That's just as bad as targeting helpless kids. At least they had a chance. Spring can't even scream. Ruby turned on Hedy next. And you helped him. Her tone was ice cold. Congratulations, Hedy. You almost assisted your brother with murder because it was easier than waiting until the end of the week. How does it feel to be so like your childhood nightmare? She buried the hurt and betrayal under her anger and lashed out at the two. Springtrap just stood in the background, not willing to interrupt. He was enjoying this. He jerked as if struck, and suddenly she couldn't breathe. I'm not like Ruby. Don't say that, please. She begged quietly, her voice cracking as she fought back tears and shook her head slightly. Please. She wanted nothing more at that moment than to run away, but she was stuck, sat with limbs that didn't work properly, and past the snake that put her in the chair to begin with. Jerry's face twisted in pain at hearing his little sister struggle not to cry with Springtrap right there. I've never done anything for Ben, Ruby. I couldn't let him hurt anyone anymore. I can't. Not again. He glared at Springtrap as he tried to stand straight, but his still numb legs couldn't support his weight. He stumbled, catching himself with Hedy's chair as she helplessly tried to support him. Couldn't let him hurt anyone? Oh, so you could just hurt Spring then, she spat, knowing she'd regret some of these words later when she calmed down, but too angry and hurt to care for now. She always did get nasty when mad. You're a hypocrite, Jeremy. You don't get to pick and choose what lives are worth saving. She focused all her anger back on Jeremy. The shock was now working its way out of his body, slowly but surely. Jeremy glared at Ruby thwartedly, strength coming back in his voice. And you don't get to risk everyone else, including yourself, for someone who might not even be alive anymore. This piece of crap, Jeremy pointed at Springtrap shakily, shouldn't have gotten a moment of opportunity to hurt you or anyone else, much less the whole damn week. Jeremy, he said. He continued, I don't know if Spring is in there, but you don't either. Ruby clenched her hands into fists like she wanted to punch him. No one else was in danger. Well, until you pulled this stunt, snapped back. I have 2 nights left, and then you do this? I'll tell you what I think. You didn't want to wait until I won at the end of the week in case Spring did come back, because then you wouldn't have to feel guilt over doubting it. She stepped closer and glared up at him. Like you, I think the chance of saving someone is worth the risk. It's my life to risk, not yours, not your sister's. Neither of you had a right to interfere. This week was mine to handle, my way. But like an idiot, you went against the deal. What if I hadn't arrived here? What if the building punished you for trying to break the deal, and I came across you injured or dead because of your own stupidity? And then he took advantage of my shock to attack me. Or what if your sister did? I'm sure he would have loved to block her while standing over your injured body. Some brother you are. Dragging your sister into here would be her would-be killer's flair. Although apparently she doesn't see care about the box as much as I thought she did. The last part was dripping in bitterness. She shook her head and turned away from Jeremy. 2 more nights, and we would have known about spring, and the body snatcher wouldn't have been able to hurt anyone anymore. I like to see how much faith the two of you have in me, despite the fact that I am still alive and winning. She paused and shook her head. Oh, I'll give you the story now then, Jeremy. You tried to hurt a boss. That's something I won't tolerate. Before this, you were just Petey's irritating brother. Now you're a threat. Come and to my box, and I'll make you regret it. Her eyes held a dangerous light. I don't know what he'd be ranked at a moment, since I'm too angry to think about it, but she's certainly not a friend anymore. He made a small noise that came to a choke. Moments ago, she was about to beg Jeremy to back down, afraid of her friend and brother getting into an actual fight with Springtrap standing in the shadows, but now her mind was blank. Jeremy glanced at Hedy, and immediately he saw the pain in her eyes at Ruby's words. His gut twisted in guilt. He should never have gotten his sister involved in this plan of his. Ruby was correct when it came to that, but she was wrong. So wrong to say Hedy didn't care about the box. He saw the care she put into taking care of them, even the originals who didn't let her near. He saw how she watched them from a distance, listening to the squeaks of old gears and grimacing at them as she suddenly left another can of WB-40 in parking service. But Ruby was beyond angry, saying all the things that came to Jeremy's mind would do nothing but make it worse, and he was already struggling to stay composed as it was. Jeremy didn't respond. He just nudged Hedy's arm and prompted her to turn away, towards the main building. He didn't know what else to do and left, so she could find somewhere to be alone. Away from Ruby, who would probably wish she'd leave and never return at this point. Away from her childhood nightmare, just standing there, enjoying himself. Away from Jeremy, who she knew she should have discarded from ever trying what he did. Jeremy stayed, staring at Ruby. Be mad at me all you want, he snapped, but none of this was his fault. He just behind him. You know what she was thinking. Jerry's eyes drifted to Springtrap, who just narrowed his eyes in grim glee. Ruby, I dearly hope you win. And I hope you're right about Spring, because it's clear anything I'm desperate enough to try isn't going to work. He cares too much, so there's no way I can fix her to please with me. But here's hoping you never see me again. I'm done. If you want to get yourself killed, making these so-called kills time after time, then so be it. I've lost too much to care about other people's kids anymore. He was going to regret saying that, he knew, but he was hurt, tired, and so damn defeated that all he wanted to do was give up, especially if all the efforts were for nothing. If Ruby wanted to win this argument so bad, fine, he was done. The team struggled on, gallantly, like she didn't care. She'd always been good at hiding her emotions. In her anger and buried her, though, she lashed out the closest target, which was him. I've been trying to get myself killed since I was 10, and I've watched my parents bleed out in front of me. The building assists on the game being Tighebo, so I'll play with the best of my abilities. You stay out of my way, though, Jeremy. And don't try and explain to her. She's an adult. She made the decision to help you. She could have said no, and she didn't. Springtrap took the distraction and slip away unnoticed. Ruby was furious at the moment. It was too funny that she was directing that and Jeremy to interfere with. Just because Spring might be gone doesn't mean you have a right to kill him. Her voice shook for a moment as her emotions threatened to escape before she got them under control again. Just because you can't scream or ask for help doesn't mean you don't deserve it. She turned to leave. Now get lost. I've got a game to win. The determined look she wore was all Sergeant Stone. You've already cost me enough time. She stalked off to find Springtrap. She regretted some of those words and was glad that her boss didn't hear her. For now, though, she had a job to do. And that's the end of chapter 73. So, looks like Jeremy and Hedy did something bad. Something just going on with Hedy, too. What is it? So, but yeah. We're done here. If you want to go leave a review, don't want any comments on this video, just leave a review, because this isn't my story. This is our Vulpix story. It deserves the last, so go, but before you do go, be sure to subscribe, and also like the video too. That I will accept. Like, such as accept. Probably no. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow with the next chapter of Hedy with a Vine.